you're listening here on the airwaves, it's that WBOK 1230 AM.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Republican Matt Van Epps wins a closely watched House special election in Tennessee, defeating Democrat Afton Bain. Bain addressed supporters after conceding the race.
Tonight is not the final result of what we wanted, but it is the beginning of something so powerful in Tennessee and across the South.
Trump endorsed Van Epps after recent Democratic wins elsewhere. Former President Barack Obama says Chicago's Obama Presidential Center will open next June in Jackson Park. The $800 million project includes a museum tower, library, gardens, and athletic spaces after years of delays and legal challenges. And fans are mourning the loss of a Palm Beach County, Florida rapper. Boca Raton police announced Monday poor Stacy died Saturday after an incident, but no details were released. TMZ reports he suffered a medical emergency at a hotel. He was 26. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
WBOK online at WBOK1230.com. The Sports Report. WBOK 1230.
Good afternoon, everybody. And after a tough one last night at the Smoothie King Center, we welcome you back once again for the Sports Report. Along with NBA champion Antonio Daniels, Joel Myers, and we're going to take your calls as well because I know you want to chime in at 504-582-9422. Okay, that's 504-582-9422. So we're going to get into the game, but boy, there's some breaking news, isn't there? Big news. And is Chris Paul ever going to lace him up again in the NBA? AD, give me your thoughts because obviously it was an acrimonious parting between Chris Paul and the LA Clippers, and all we heard about was he was calling out players, he was calling out coaches. Well, he's played at a high level for a long time. Mm-hmm. So what is your take on the departure? Because his coach didn't even meet with him, did he?
No, here's my honest take on this. And this obviously drove our SiriusXM show this afternoon. Where do you start? I'll say this first and foremost, Joe. I don't care how good you are or aren't at this point in your career. This isn't how you treat people.
Right.
This isn't how you treat people. There's so much wrong here that the LA Clippers did that I don't care what Chris Paul did. There were so many different ways that you could have gone about this differently and more professionally. Joe, he is, and I know it's not a storied history, but he was going to be the first Clipper to hang in the rafters. And now what you're doing as an organization, you are developing and creating a narrative around yourself. We know everything that happened with Sterling, right? Mm-hmm. You remember they told Blake Griffin when they brought him in and said, you know what, you're going to be a Clipper for life? And then 6 months later, they traded him? Remember that? To the
Absolutely.
Point where what's the owner? Ballmer comes out there to try and shake Blake Griffin's hand, and he runs to the locker room. And now you do this. These are probably your two best players in the history, and you have done them both wrong?
So I guess the jersey's not going to be in the rafters.
You don't send a player home, Joel, of any caliber at 3:30 in the morning.
He's a Hall of Famer.
I don't care.
I know, but I'm just saying.
If it's me,
but
you don't do that.
Put it this way. It's one thing if a guy just joined you, but he had history with you before Lob City and success.
But, Joe, I'll say, even if a guy just joined you, you don't do that. Even if he just joined you. What I'm saying is, professionally, they could have told Chris Paul before he boarded the flight.
Right.
You know what?
Better not.
Yeah, you better not. You know, look, we tried this. It's not what you expected. It's not what we expected. So, you know what we're going to do, man? We're going to part ways. Or they could have waited till this road trip was over.
Do you think 5 and 16 had a lot to do with it, too?
Why would it? It's not Chris Paul's not even playing a lot of minutes.
I know. It's maybe 8 or 10 a game at the most.
Right. So if that's the case, I could have played my 8 or 10 minutes on this East Coast trip, went back to LA, and we could have parted ways amicably, professionally. They could not have done this any worse, in my opinion.
What's really interesting, and you bring up a valid point, the way you handle things, the way people are looking at you down the road. Well, look how they traded Chris Paul. But what surprises me the most, they went into a beautiful building, state-of-the-art building last year. And usually with the new building, there's energy that's created.
For sure.
And because of that energy, people are going to go, well, I'm going to be there to support them because they went out of their way to build a palace for me. I mean, it is beautiful. Although the broadcast position
We don't even need to discuss
is the
that.
worst in the NBA.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't sell out. Normally, it's an automatic when you open a new building that the local community supports you because he took it and did it out of his own pocket. There was no public support. He didn't ask for any money. So it's interesting. We go there, and there's a lot of empty seats, aren't there?
Yes.
And that was for a winning program last year, a lot of empty seats.
Yeah, but I think...
I know 5-16 this year, but
Right,
last
but
year they competed at a pretty good level.
Yeah, but I think when we talk about winning, I think that's in the eye of the beholder. You know, when we say winning, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, like nowadays, it's fan bases, they want championship teams on the floor. They want championship teams on
Or
the
at
floor.
least identifying that we do have a chance to ascend in that direction. But right now they're in a win now mode because
And
Harden,
that's what makes this
Kawhi,
bad.
Right.
Because
All of the veterans.
But what else makes it bad is what's transpiring in Oklahoma City. Remember,
Right.
it was just a few years ago that they had last year's MVP, last year's finals MVP, last year's scoring champion, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So when you and I always talk about, you know, you asked me a couple of days ago, is the Luka deal the worst trade in the history of the NBA? Man, Joel, when you look at everything that transpired with the Clippers, right? What they gave up
For Paul George. Right.
to get Paul George, who's no longer in a LA Clippers uniform.
They didn't want to give him the fourth year.
Correct. But what you got rid of, and I know Paul George thought he had leverage at that point. Like, man, they got rid of SGA. That one of the picks eventually became J-Dub, Jalen Williams. And it's almost like these Oklahoma City trades are the gift that just keep on giving. And look where the Clippers are now.
They are kind of walking the plank, actually.
Big
If you-
time. Because
if
they
you
don't
look
have
at
their
it
pick
that-
this year either.
Right. If you look at it that way. And it's not like they have a ton of young talent. What they do is they're top heavy with guys that are in a win now mode. It was all about right now.
What young talent
And-
do they have?
And another thing, don't forget this. And it's going to happen after the All-Star break. They're not good because the Clippers have the All-Star game in their building.
Right.
So the decision on whether or not they circumvented the cap, we're going to find out after the All-Star break. And if
you
they,
think?
yeah, I do, because if they are found guilty, and that's still yet to be determined, if they are found guilty, well, do you lose picks?
They don't have picks.
No, I'm saying, well, eventually they do. Do you take picks away down the road?
My thing is, I think the NBA will sweep this under the rug as long as they possibly can.
Well, and I don't totally disagree for the mere fact that your best friend is the guy that didn't ask for any money from the community. It's almost like Stan Kroenke built the NFL stadium in L.A., and he became Roger Goodell's best buddy. So you look at your constituents and the 32 owners in the NFL and the 30 owners in the NBA, and who's your best friend? The guy maybe with the deepest pockets.
Right.
So there you go. If there's no verdict, if they say, well, they were truly trying to get a sponsorship deal done with him, and then Kawhi was going to do some personal appearances for them, then we know the guy with the deepest pockets won.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I just don't know what the fallout from circumventing the cap would be. And for those that don't know what we're referencing, like, it's a story where they were basically, in
Caught.
layman's terms, caught paying
Caught.
Kawhi Leonard under the table. So the money that they were paying him under the table didn't count toward the cap.
It went to a group.
Right.
Right.
And I think when you see a lot of these investigations that are going on, you think there are guys that were under investigation for so long that I forgot they were under investigation. Like, oh my gosh. Like, oh shoot, that's right. Terry Rozier did get in trouble. That was a year and a half ago before
Right.
this recent one came back up. So in this particular situation, man, it's not a good look for the Clippers on a number of fronts.
And where's Malik Beasley today?
Right.
And then we can go down. Now, Chauncey Billups has to wait till the spring before that even begins, that case, and goes to court. You're listening to WBOK. Excuse me, I'm laughing because there's so many things going on besides
oh my
basketball.
goodness gracious.
If you'd like to join us, phone number 504-582-9422. Here's another question for you. How much longer is Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Bucks uniform? And is the party that's most interested willing to give up some core pieces there because they got a good thing going, although they just lost at home to Jaylen Brown's 42 points and the Celtics? But first part, how much longer is Antetokounmpo?
I think this was inevitable. You know, for me, what was the undoing of the Milwaukee Bucks, and it becomes the undoing of a lot of teams in this league, Joe. The lack of willingness to remain patient with the process. So what you do is you have a good thing going, and then upon that good thing, you feel like, oh, you know what? We can get better.
Damian Lillard.
Right. That was the undoing. So now they took out a loan on Damian Lillard that they can't pay back. Because if you recall, what teams are doing for some crazy reason
Rushing.
is they are thinking all we have to do is accumulate as much star power as possible, and we'll win.
Well, look what happened to Phoenix.
Look what happened to Phoenix. Look what happened to Brooklyn. You
Right.
can go down the list. Look what happened to the Sixers, you know, with James Harden and go down the list and Joel Embiid. You can go down the list of different teams. It doesn't work. But what they had Drew Holiday, who was a perfect, ideal fit next to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
And loved in the locker room.
To the tune of winning the NBA championship, one of the
Right.
best defensive guards in the league. And your thought is, you know what? I have it really good at home. But you know what? I want to try and upgrade. And upon upgrading, everything imploded.
You blew up the chemistry
Yep.
of what
And-
you had.
And there's so many teams that will jeopardize chemistry for something else. So many teams
Right.
that will jeopardize chemistry. You and I were just talking a couple days ago about this New Orleans Pelicans team 2 years ago.
Or I'll go back to the C.J. McCollum deal. When you plug C.J. in and Josh Hart and Nikhil go.
And they
And-
come to the game the next day.
Because they love New Orleans.
Right.
And they wanted to be here. And the regime at the time didn't take into consideration what the team needed, which was they had a bond. There was chemistry.
But, okay, even if you go past CJ, if you remember a couple years ago, Joel, this team won 49 games. They were
Right.
49 and 33, a game off of 50. That was a year where Zion didn't play the whole year. B.I. didn't play the whole year. You still almost won 50 games.
Right.
That team was connected. The chemistry was there. That's the year if you're
Billy
you're thinking
Hernan
about
Gomez.
right. If you're thinking about the year that I'm referencing, it's the year where Zion scored 40 in the play-in tournament versus the Los Angeles Lakers, and then you lose to Oklahoma City in the first round. Right? That was the last year. From then, everything came apart. So you look at who was a part of that team that is still here. You got Trey.
Right.
You got Herb.
Not
you
many.
got Z.
Not many. Yeah, and you can go to the DeJounte Murray deal with Dyson Daniels departing, who wanted to be here. See, you and I have talked about this before. Chemistry is everything. And then you also have to identify guys that are happy being in a smaller market.
And that's hard. When you have guys that are happy being in a small market, you have to do whatever you have to do to keep them. So you have
Treasure.
to draft correctly,
Right.
and sometimes you have to overpay because there's not a small market in the NBA that is a free agent hotbed. There's not one.
Right.
You know, you can think of a team like the San Antonio Spurs. That's a team that has sustained success for 20 years, Joe. But no one's running to San Antonio to play as a free agent.
But they recognize the core pieces. We're happy about being there.
And they grow them,
And-
they develop
right.
them, and they do it organically.
Which they're doing now. And they got
Correct.
lucky, fortunately, with Wembanyama coming over, and then they had back-to-back number one picks. Let's not forget about that. And then they had the second overall pick with Dylan Harper in this year's draft, who's playing a nice level, and he got a nice box last night. He filled it up off the bench. But it's interesting. It's about rushing the process,
Yep.
I guess, more than anything else. But I think the real key is identifying what you're growing. Like, we had a really good thing here in New Orleans, and the guys were happy to be here. And
They played for each other.
and that's one guy, we got to have him. Well, at what expense?
Once you take your eyes off of something that you have that's great, and you put your eyes on something else, you're putting into jeopardy what you have there in the first place.
Right.
And you see it often. Milwaukee Bucks, they are fresh off of an NBA championship. The Phoenix Suns, they played the Milwaukee Bucks in the finals. And you know what they thought? You know what? We just went through the finals with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges and Devin Booker. You know, we need more star power. Let's go get Kevin Durant. Let's go get Bradley Beal. So think about that team that, 3 years removed now, was in the NBA Finals. How many of those guys are still there that were in Phoenix?
Yeah,
One.
They strip-minded, and now they've got guys who are playing really hard. for them.
Right. But it took a year or 2 years of Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker not working,
It
lacking
did-
chemistry.
Right.
I tell you, Joe, I wish that was something that more teams thought about. Like when you're making changes to locker rooms, it disrupts chemistry. Because I'm not talking about coaching, I'm talking about players.
Right.
You know, you look at Najee here and the friends that he still has in Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado, these guys. Like, there's a connection. And when you have a connection, you have to be willing to crockpot it.
Well, and you also let him go, and he was, by today's NBA standards, he was fiscally responsible labor because he got 9 a year.
Right.
He got 3 for 27 from Dallas. So you develop the guy, and then you let him walk and don't get a thing, and he's playing at a nice level. Last year, he had career highs across the board for Dallas.
He was available.
Yep.
He was available.
Right.
He was tough. And he brought chemistry to that locker room.
He showed up
Right.
every night.
And if I'm Milwaukee, right now, I'm kicking myself for actually putting Drew Holiday out there.
Right.
Even putting him out there and saying, hey, you know what? We know that you are beloved by this organization, by this fan base, by this community. But you know what?
We don't care.
Yeah, we don't care. We're going to go and see how Damian Lillard works. So you're
Right.
giving up a sure thing for a question mark in Damian Lillard. And now you set your organization back big time to the point they don't have a choice anymore. They have to move off of Giannis. They don't have a choice.
And reset.
And a reset.
Right. And look at Drew Holiday's meant for the locker room and on the floor for the Portland Trailblazers.
Look at what he's done in the locker room and on the floor everywhere he's been.
Right.
Since
Quality
he's left
person.
here, he's won 2 championships.
Right.
That's not by accident.
Yeah, Milwaukee and Boston. Not bad. We're continuing with the sports report. That's Antonio Daniels. We'll get to your calls at 504-582-9422. I had a good one last night at the Smoothie King Center. You and I have talked about it before, finishing games. Because you do so well over 36 minutes. What is it about, and we can say they're young, but it's 22, 23 games in now. They're starting to get reps together. But all of a sudden, they stop doing what they did, which is pace, space, getting the ball.
That's a given because the
Yeah.
game is gonna slow
Yeah,
down in the
it's-
last 5 minutes.
Without a doubt. But you're not doing what you did earlier, the little things you did earlier.
Okay, so here's the question that I'll ask you, Joe. Who's your closer?
Well, you've got to have him on the floor, and he's also got to make himself available. So your closer is either Trey, and he was on the floor last night, and give McDaniels credit because he covered him, he blanketed him, he made everything difficult for Trey in the fourth quarter and in overtime. But then you look at, well, can guys set picks for him? We know, make them switch. Make them get off Trey with their best defender. Because McDaniels is one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. He's not just a good defender for many.
As is Anthony Edwards.
Right. So, hey, guys played their guts out last night. Played,
for sure.
That was one of the best games of the season.
Agreed.
And we'll get into the rookies in a little bit because they're growing. Man, are they growing. But it's tough to watch a team get so close. And we saw it in Golden State as well. There for the taking.
And I what's difficult for me, and when I say this team has to learn to close, that goes full circle. Trey, as good as Trey is and as good as he was yesterday, he hasn't been thought of or known as a closer here.
Right.
Because it's either been Zion or B.I. Those were your closers. So this is a new role for Trey.
Good point.
That's one. Two, James Borrego still has to learn how to coach and put them in a position to close because this is new for him as well.
And with players getting a different voice. Willie was there for 4+ years, and now you got a different voice. And James Borrego is outstanding.
Yes, he is.
He's a detail guy. So your retention rate has to be very high because you and I go to shoot-arounds, we'll be at practice. He is really an X's and O's guy. So remember what he said because he's going to expect it, later that night. And he is very good. I don't think it's a question about coaching, but kind of communicating with the players, and they listen and they communicate with him on what works for them as well.
And this is what's difficult. It's collaborative.
Right.
With JB. It's always been collaborative. But this is the part that's different about today's NBA and difficult about today's NBA. We constantly talk about the fact that depth and versatility are king and queen in today's NBA, how important they are. Joel, if you're playing against a team that will switch everything, it's harder to get that guy open. Now, if you're playing against, if you have a Kevin Durant or you have a Nikola Jokic, somebody that you can switch and throw it to them on the box or clear out and understand that they can get any shot they want at any minute because they're an offensive savant, that's different. But when you're playing against a young team and you have guys that are trying to learn to close, and if you notice, the Pelicans really tend to struggle with teams that switch 1 through 5.
Right.
Because what it forces you to do is now go one-on-one. This team is not constructed to go one-on-one.
Don't have somebody to create their own.
Right. They don't have a gravity guy. The gravity guy is Z. That's going to bring a double team. The gravity guy was B.I.
Right.
When those guys are gone, now you have to be patient and wait for Derek Queen to become a gravity guy, or wait for Jeremiah Fears to become a gravity guy, or wait for Trey Murphy to become a gravity guy. The waiting part, man, the pruning process is never fun.
Right. Well, let me ask you this and I think James Borrego is really good, and they're listening. They're paying attention.
They are, for sure.
So what was the Zen type thing that Greg Popovich possessed? Because you played for him, you won a ring with him, and he was a great communicator.
But I'm going to tell you the difference in the two. The difference in the two was San Antonio always had their closer.
Right.
So they knew who they were going to.
Whether it was Tim, whoever, David, right.
Manu, Tony, they knew they were very deliberate and good about closing games because everybody on the floor knew where the ball was going. On both sides. On both sides. Now, so not just the Spurs, whoever the opponent was knew where the ball was going as well. This is something that the Pelicans have to learn. This is the part that they have to learn. The thing that JB does a lot that I've seen that Greg Popovich did a lot is his attention to detail with each individual player. And I feel like to be a good coach, this is something that you have to do.
Right. One-on-one.
Yes. Take the time. That's why when we talk about the Chris Paul situation, I sit here and think, what could Chris Paul have said to or about Tyronn Lue where he can ask for a sit down and the coach's response is, nah, I'm good. I know, I don't want to do that. That's a part of coaching. A part of coaching is relationships. A part of parenting is relationships.
Right.
The most important thing we have in our lives are our relationships, whether vertical or horizontal. The most important thing we have. But relationships also take time. You and I, Joel, this is our 7th year together. We are not today where we were 7 years ago. But there's a relationship that had to grow with reps that take time.
And we've known each other, and we've had a friendship since 1999, and that helped going in. But you bring up a valid point, because you and I would go to dinners when you were a Spur, and Pop would be there with one of the players. He did one-on-one time with guys off the floor. Did a lot of dinners. He wanted to know about the person. And me as a broadcaster. Seriously, that's what Pop was good at.
That takes time.
You got it.
That takes time. And a lot of coaches, Joel, and I am speaking from experience, a lot of coaches aren't willing to do that. They're not. What a lot of coaches will say is, look, here's your playbook. Here's your playbook. Go learn it. If you can run it well, you'll play. And if you don't, you won't. That's it.
Jeremiah Fears. I want to change subjects a little bit because you're looking for a closer. And he made a couple plays late. He had that wraparound pass to Derek Queen for the dunk. That was huge. See, he can break it down. He can get off and get past somebody. Is he the guy that and they're going to seriously invest in him. He's really a gifted guy. We already saw that. Is he the type of guy? Because he wants it. I saw a video today, one of his responses. Well, you're third in the rookie rankings. How do you feel? He goes, I don't even think about it. Doesn't mean a thing to me. He goes, all I want to do, we're losing. All I want to do is turn this team around, his exact words. And to me, that's leadership. That's what, and he's 19. He just turned 19. So I look at him and I go, because he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton.
So will Queen, though.
Right. So you're investing in those two guys, but boy, Fears right now, he's ahead of the curve. Put it that way. He seems like the type of guy that could be that kind of guy at the end of games.
For me, both of those guys possess something that's God-given. That's God-given. That can't be taught.
Right.
Right? Jeremiah's is speed.
Ooh.
Right? His is speed, but also controlled speed. Like he's rarely, if ever, out of control.
Doesn't rush.
Right. Does not rush, but he moves really fast from inline to inline, three-point line to three-point line.
Glides.
His is speed. Derek Queen's is a innate ability to see a play before it actually happens. You know, we used to talk about Lonzo Ball.
Right.
That's different. You expect that from a guard. You don't expect that from a 5-man.
And he's been leading people like a quarterback.
When he is he's coming out of games and leading the game in assists and passing guys open, there were 3 or 4 more assists that he should have had last night, right? That were missed at the rim or whatever it may be.
Right.
Like his ability, his God-given ability to see plays before they actually happen. It's funny because what the Pelicans did is they drafted the fastest player in the draft and the slowest player in the draft. So it's awesome to see and watch how their skill sets complement each other.
Yeah. And I'm glad they're getting the reps they are. Let's do this. We'll get back to your calls in just a moment. I see you lined up there. So many of you. 504-582-9422 is the number. That's 504-582-9422. AD's here. He'll take your calls in just a moment on the Sports Report on WBOK.
Hey, this is Dave Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 a.m. every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m. bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
Hey WBOK family, Ryan Richardson here, host of Conversations with Ryan Richardson. Join me this Saturday live from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. as I welcome special guest Miss LaToya Buckner. We'll be talking about suicide prevention, and she will also talk about the 2022 loss of her son, Mr. Marquise Buckner, to suicide. Right here on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. This is a very important interview that you don't want to miss. Please tune in, and thanks for your continued love and support.
My name is Armand Gillespie.
And this is Philip Thomas.
And we are the Bald Online Podcast, where we cover all the major sports topics. But today, we come to you all to talk about a more serious topic.
Suicide prevention. A little less than a week ago, a young, talented football player named Marshawn Nealon took his life after scoring his first NFL touchdown.
We stressed the importance of life and how precious every person is. We on Bald Online Podcast hope if you're ever going through anything, to please reach out to a loved one.
And if you think you have no one to turn to, please call 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Remember, you are loved and cherished in every possible way.
Peace and always love from us. And remember, ball don't lie. Peace.
Tis the season to be compassionate and joyful. Be sure to spend your Christmas day with us at WBOK as we bring to you 24 hours of commercial-free holiday music, beginning at 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve and all day on Christmas. Let WBOK bring joy and happiness to you with our holiday music on this festive occasion. You can tune in at WBOK 1230 AM and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com. Happy holidays to you and yours from everyone here at WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Hi, this is Dr. Shepard. I just want to say happy holidays to you and yours.
WBOK, online at WBOK1230.com. The Sports Report.
Well, we've been going over the Pels game last night and a heartbreaker, loss in overtime. Like what we see, though, in particular from the two rookies and the three rookies. Let's not forget about Micah Peavy, who's playing at a really nice level and plays really hard, who had 8 points on 4 of 6 from the field last night. Antonio Daniels, you're going over right now possibilities. You see, for me, if I'm San Antonio, I'm not interested in Giannis. Mm-hmm. I'm not big game hunting. I like what San Antonio's got now, and they are going to be very good for years to come if they just leave them alone. Okay. Castle, Harper, Vassell, Johnson's even playing much better than he has over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Got a great deal of confidence. So the Knicks don't have, we were just talking about this, they don't have picks because they all went for Mikal Bridges, didn't they?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
So Desmond Bain, he got 4 picks. See, I don't think Memphis is interested, though, even with all those picks they've stockpiled. Atlanta, they've got some picks, don't they?
They've got some picks, and they have some pieces. And the thing is, it depends on the perspective that we're looking at this possibility from. Is it from the fan perspective? Because if I'm a fan, I want a competitive team and product on the floor now. I do. Especially if you're going to get rid of a walking economy like Giannis. Because when Giannis goes, that beautiful building that's in Milwaukee, it's going to be a ghost town.
Fear of the deer.
Yes. That deer is going to be lonely. I can promise you that. But also, we also have to understand, when you have a player of Giannis's stature, it's not just about the Pfizer Forum. There are businesses downtown that thrive because people are coming in droves to watch Giannis play.
Well, ask Cleveland what happened when LeBron went to Miami.
Right. You look at Dallas.
Right.
What happened with Dallas downtown when Luka was traded. So you're not simply trading away a player, a father, a husband. You're trading away an economy. And here's the thing. When you're trading away an economy, you want to bring something or someone back that is going to instill hope and put butts in that seat. I just don't think that there's anybody out there legitimately, realistically, that can do that for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Would Trae Young, as part of a package from Atlanta, would Trae Young be of interest to Milwaukee?
I mean, I don't know why. The thing is, they have a young budding star in Ryan Rollins, who would be on the most improved player list.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you have to do something with Giannis, though. It's not a matter of if. It's when. It has to happen. Because you have two entities here in Giannis and Milwaukee that are in pretty bad positions. The Milwaukee Bucks aren't winning when Giannis plays. They're 8-8 when he plays, 1-5 when he doesn't. So something has to give. You don't have any good young talent. You don't have any draft assets, and you don't have any financial flexibility. You're done as an organization as far as the future is concerned.
It's interesting what's developing, and we haven't even gotten close to the trade deadline. We're only 25% of the way through the season.
Man, listen, Joe.
Right.
It's about to be a soap opera.
Well, the Clippers, we already talked about that. That's a serious soap opera. And they still have to deal with the league on the circumventing of the cap. So that may not be over either. It's really interesting.
And they have to do something too, though. The Clippers have, again, they're in the same position. They don't as the Milwaukee Bucks. I tell you the thing about the Pelicans that is different than the LA Clippers, that's different than the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm not saying this because we're in New Orleans or because we work for the Pelicans. The difference is the young talent. That's the difference. So the Pelicans don't have a draft pick this year.
Right.
Clippers don't have a draft pick this year. Milwaukee doesn't have a draft pick this year. But look at the talent 25, 26, and under. Right? When you look at the Pelicans, still, you got Z, you got Trey, you got Herb, you got Fears, you have Queen. You can go down the list. You got Micah Peavy. So you have the young talent. Now, you may not have the other two. You may not have the
finisher.
Right, but you also don't have a draft pick this year.
Right.
But you have the young talent. So if you have young talent and you can develop the young talent, that's where the hope comes from. But when you're Milwaukee and you LA Clippers and you don't have the young talent and you don't have financial flexibility and you don't have draft assets.
See, that's why if I'm San Antonio, I'm not even considering it because of the young talent I possess already.
I feel that.
Yeah. I'd stay the course because I truly believe had the Pels stayed with Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, develop your own, and then the loyalty of the fan base. You know, they've invested in those guys as well.
Yeah.
So what kind of signal are you sending if you keep turning things over every 2 to 3 years? You know, you want to have some numbers up in the ceiling. You want to retire a jersey occasionally because the guy was with you that long. That's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the Sports Report on WBOK. I know it's early, and Jeremiah and Derek are playing really well, but is the Rookie of the Year race a two-horse field right now?
Honestly, the only reason I would say it's a two-horse field is because one of them was the number one overall pick.
Well,
Honestly,
and he was fourth, so he wasn't far behind.
I know, but there was a hype that came along with Cooper. It's almost like when you're fighting a champion in boxing, you can't allow it to go to the cards. You got to knock him out.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have to beat you clear cut. I cannot. If I allow it to go to the scorecards, I lost.
And we're only in the first quarter.
No question. But I tell you what, it's a one-horse field right now. There has not been a rookie in this year's draft that has played as well as Nipple. There hasn't.
Unbelievable.
And that's saying a lot because Derek Queen has played well. That's saying a lot because Jeremiah Fears has played well. Cooper Flagg has an opportunity to pick it up, but Cooper Flagg's college teammate, Nipple,
man,
has been special to start the season off.
He has been phenomenal. That's why I bring it up.
But, and here's the thing, it's not like they can take winning into consideration because when you look at DQ, when you look at Jeremiah, when you look at Nipple, and you look at Cooper Flagg, all the teams are below 500.
Well, that works against eventually. Then it goes back to when Rutgers, okay, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, okay, two guys taken second and fifth overall. But they didn't have a winning record. They didn't go to the tournament.
Right. I used to watch Rutgers a lot, too.
Right. And so that's held against you, even if you're under 500, if you're close to 500, right now, Charlotte has not had LaMelo the whole time.
What?
What, LaMelo Ball?
Yeah, they don't never have LaMelo Ball.
I know. Well, I'm not going to bring up similar situations I know about. And Cooper Flagg has not had the bigs all the time either.
Right. Or Kyrie.
Right. Kyrie's and will he come back in January as they speculate? So interesting times, but I do like there's right now, Knipple, obviously, first 25% of the season.
Is the clear-cut rookie.
He has really played at an unreal level. He gets rosy red in his cheeks. He looks, 14, 15 years old. It's amazing. By the way, you know where he's from?
Where?
Milwaukee.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's
I
Milwaukee.
didn't know. Yeah,
kid.
I didn't. I will tell you this. That's surprising to me. Like, what he's doing is surprising. I knew he could play, And what you see in this league is college, sometimes you don't get an opportunity to see someone's full bag. But when you get to the NBA and the floor opens up, and guys have a little more space, a little more opportunity, the shot clock is quicker, so the game is faster.
Right.
Like, you can think of different guys that you watched in college, and then once they got to the NBA, you're like, man, this is not the dude I saw in college. The Devin Bookers, the Tyler Heroes, the Donovan Mitchells, the Russell Westbrooks.
They have room.
Right, the James Hardens. All of these guys, it's like, man, where did this bag come from?
Right.
But in Knipple, I watched Duke play a lot last year, and I knew he could shoot. Like, okay,
You didn't know he was tough.
Right. I didn't know he was that tough.
Right.
But I also didn't know he was that skilled.
They handle everything.
Right. Right. And that's the part for me that kind of,
Right.
Okay, well, maybe.
So the Pels have the Brooklyn Nets coming up Saturday night. We fly to Brooklyn Friday, and I've not seen the Nets. So I watched the Nets against the Bobcats.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the Nets Hornets.
The Bobcats. Yeah.
And Knipple, you ready for this? He's wearing low, almost like black Converse, the old Chucky T, low cut, so not high tops.
Mm-hmm.
They had the teal jersey on. Now here's this kid who looks 16. It could have been a black and white TV. I thought I was watching the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Because in those days, whether it was Havlicek or somebody else running around like that, it was unbelievable to watch him. He really was running off the ball well.
He moves.
Yeah, he was relocating. He was looking. I'm making myself available.
Mm-hmm.
I'll work my tail off. If you don't find me, it's okay too, but I'm going to make myself available. But he was wearing those low-cut Chucky T's, and it blew me away. It was like, God, I'm back in the 60s watching the Celtics, who I hated at the time. I was a St. Louis Hawk. Lakers broke my heart every year. And the Celtics, of course, were amazing in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
They were the monster.
The team.
You got it. And I saw him on those low cuts. It was like, God, help me. It was a flashback.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I watched him play the other day. Where were we just at?
Golden State.
When we were in Golden State last weekend. And I was watching them play the Toronto Raptors. Anytime I get a chance to watch Toronto play and BI play,
right.
I watch. And he hit a shot over BI, as a matter of fact, to force overtime. They were down by 3, and the ball comes into him on the sideline. He turns, he faces. And when guys can shoot like that, you don't reach out and foul. Because if you reach out and foul, now he gets 3 free throws.
Right.
So BI contested, he hit the shot, Charlotte, that goes into overtime, and they end up winning that game. Like, he's a gamer.
Yeah.
He's a gamer.
He looks like a baby, but he's an assassin.
You can say the same thing about DQ.
Right. Oh, he's got I said to you we had a tight shot. I said, what a baby face.
Yeah.
Last night.
People forget, man.
But he's very dead. He's dead serious.
It's so easy to forget that these guys are 2 years, Joe, removed from prom. And now they're the face of franchises, and people expect them to have it all figured out. Think about when you went to your high school prom. Now just fast forward.
Tough, and it was tough getting a date. Go ahead.
Now fast forward 2 years later. Think about what you weren't ready for as far as life is concerned. This is the situation that a lot of these young men are in.
Right. You know what? As you bring that up, though, you know what I love about the two rooks? I love the pride factor. I really do. The pride factor to me is taking yourself and the game and your career seriously. And both Fears and Derek Queen, they're gamers. There's a pride factor already, and they're 25% of the way through their first NBA season. But don't mess around because they'll
Let's
they'll
discuss
show
that
you.
coming back.
All
I
right.
do. I want to discuss that part
All
coming
right.
back.
Quick break. We'll come back. We'll get to all your calls again at 504-582-9422 with AD Antonio Daniels on the Sports Report on BOK.
Season's greetings from our family at the Blues Buffet.
Hey, this is Jay Boogie with the Blues Buffet. You know, Christmas Day is special and so is the music. So get ready for a family feast of sound. It's the special Christmas edition of the Blues Buffet, playing your favorite holiday classics for the entire family. Tune in Christmas Day at 3 p.m. for the best Christmas music mix on the planet. That's on AM 1230 WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
This week on The Way Forward, we'll take a look at the role of faith in one man's professional journey. Dr. David Adeboye will join me to talk about his book, At the Break of Dawn, An Immigrant Journey. Plus, good news, info you can use, and my Go Forward message. Join yours truly, Eddie Francis, Saturday at 3 p.m. on The Way Forward here on 1230 a.m. or streaming live at WBOK1230.com and the Play Ode app. On WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
New Orleans, are you ready for a voice that says what you're thinking? Who that, you might ask? Arrington Gavin. That's right, I'm your guy, host of The Arrington Gavin Show, giving you so much filled with bold opinions, real conversations, and zero sugarcoating. We're going to be diving into the issues that matter, politics, pop culture, and all the above, unfiltered and unafraid. Catch The Arrington Gavin Show weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Fridays, right here on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
This is Dr. Jaquil Ross from New Schools for New Orleans, wishing everyone a warm and inviting holiday season.
From the East Bank to the West Bank, WBOK is what New Orleans is talking about. WBOK.
The Sports Report.
Welcome back once again as we continue on the Sports Report. Antonio Daniels wanted to talk about that pride factor I brought up right before we broke away. I just like the intensity. You know, Derek Queen, he looks at guys like, you're not going to mess with me. Bottom line. And Jeremiah Fears has this little wry smile on his face like, gotcha. You want more? I'll get you again. And both of them have that pride factor. They're super competitive like Micah. I'm not going to forget Micah because he plays really hard all the time. But the 2 first-round picks, you're not going to screw around with them.
They're tough. All 3 of them are tough. Like, think about how many, if you want to call them dust-ups, that Jeremiah's gotten into already. Like, we are literally 23 games into the season, and I can think of 4 or 5 different situations that he's gotten into already.
3 T's in a game and a half.
Right. On the West Coast trip alone.
Right. 3 T's.
Yeah, I told him, you need to stop giving your money away.
Really?
You got to stop giving your money away. But that's a young man that is not wired to back down.
Right.
DQ, a young man that's not wired to back down. And I love that. I think all the way back to what game was that earlier in the year? Phoenix, Dylan Brooks.
You got it.
Earlier in the year, where those two almost stood side by side. And basically, even though the game was over, they gave off you ain't punking us. You are not punking us. And to see that from your rookies, I think that speaks volumes about them and their future here.
Oh, they're pros already.
Yes, they are.
They're pros. You can tell. By the way, the Knicks don't have picks. They're now 13-7. Boston beat them. Now, it was in Boston, but, you know, Jaylen Brown went for a season high 42. That doesn't hurt. Peyton Pritchard, not a good shooting night, 1 of 7. They usually need him.
Mm-hmm.
But Jaylen Brown was phenomenal. I give Boston credit. You know, a lot of teams, the shock factor of losing your best player, Jason Tatum, and they're 12-9.
It ain't just their best player, though. They lost Drew. They lost Al Horford. They lost Kristaps Porzingis.
And they wanted to get under the second apron more than anything else. It was all economics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I give them credit, though, that they're showing up every night. We saw them here. They play hard for Missoula.
When you think about, like, there are 3 players I think of that, actually, you can throw DeJounte in there as well. 4 players that tore their Achilles last year. And Jason Tatum,
Dame
Lillard, Therese Halliburton, and DeJounte Murray. One of those teams is above 500. One of them is above 500. All the other teams that lost a player that, due to a ruptured Achilles, heading in the wrong direction. I think that speaks volumes about the coaching job that Joe Mazzulla has done. Because, again, it's not simply Jason Tatum that they lost.
Well, they're starting Keita at center, okay? And Simon's done a good job off the bench for them. We always knew he could score. He could,
and that's all he has to do.
You got it. Comes off the bench, and they want buckets, period. So it's interesting to me, though. They don't beat themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They play smart. Hauser's done a good job for them off the bench as well. And then, even though they're 8-13, I like watching the Portland Trail Blazers. Because
they got the league's most improved player on their team.
Denny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the season ended today, right? I'll take it back to the Con Knippel question. Con Knippel would be the NBA Rookie of the Year if it ended today.
Right.
Denny Avdia would be the league's most improved player if it ended today. Him, or Jalen Johnson, but probably Denny Avdia.
25 points in the loss last night and 14 assists. I always thought Washington gave up on him too soon, only for the mere fact that how often do you have a 6'8", 6'9" point guard who's trying to make others better? And he's a good young man. I've talked to him. He's a really solid kid. So
that's what teams do, though, Joe.
Yeah.
Again, like,
and
no one wants to be
rebuilding,
patient.
and they're rebuilding, which is really bizarre.
Exactly. No one wants to be patient anymore. Again, the NBA needs to be and have a crockpot culture, and instead they have a microwave culture. If you're not the best version of yourself or the final version of yourself in the first year or two, we can think of different guys that have gone on and that have completely blown up. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a heck of a player.
And boy, does he have confidence now.
Right.
He just flick of the wrist and
Heck of a player. You know, 30-point games in a row just a week ago.
Right.
Is a heck of a player. Like, it's very easy to give up on guys because they're not the final version of themselves when you draft them. But yet you watch some of these other teams remain patient with the process. Think about how many times Brown and Tatum and Danny Ainge and Joe Mazzulla, they were told they can't win together. You gotta separate them.
And we knew the right thing to do was the best trades are the ones never made.
No question about it.
Right.
Which means you're staying patient with the process.
Right.
And you know what Danny Ainge did and what Brad Stevens did? He said, I'm not breaking these two up. No, I understand what everybody else is saying. But you know what? We drafted these guys. We have developed these guys. And now we're going to invest in these guys.
And they got both third overall. One
ended up with a championship.
One behind Lonzo Ball. Yeah. Well, we're going to get ready to wrap things up. By the way, just wanted to throw in, we're happy for Brandon Ingram, obviously.
Oh, big time.
But Toronto, is that kind of a mirage, 15-7, because of all the injuries in the Eastern Conference?
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't say it's a mirage. I'd just say you're playing who's in front of you.
Gotcha.
Take advantage of it.
Okay. Hey, enjoyed it as usual.
Always.
Thanks for taking those calls. Appreciate it, man. We'll look forward to the next time we're all together. Thank you for joining us. For Antonio Daniels, Joel Myers, thanks for being with us on WBOK and the Sports Report.